Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, good morning. A Saturday morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Have you heard of liquidity providing? And when you were like, oh, liquidity providing on Uniswap, earning fees from other people trading, and I don't have to do anything, and I earn fees. But then when you asked about it on Twitter or your friends, they were like, yeah, but taxes, you got to consider taxes because that's going to, be ridiculous. And you're going to have to pay all the taxes on that, right? Well, let's dive into that a little bit more, right? Because if you listen to your friend or people on Twitter around taxes, right, then you just sit on your thumbs all day and not do anything. Because the things that are valuable in life, things that require growth, require change. So with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam. For those of you who are returning, it is good to see you. If you'd like to check out the channel, or support the channel, you can check out the links down below. You can follow on Instagram or Twitter down below. Now, I got this question here in the comments. So if you guys have a good question, leave it down below. This is from Ocean Breeze. This is one day ago. So I wanted to read through this question and talk about this, right? LP, providing LP. Oh, let's just cover real quick for anybody who doesn't know this, what LP is. LP is, there's DEXs. So think of like Robinhood or Coinbase or Ameritrade or Charles Schwab. And they make fees, or they make money, we'll say, from people trading, right? Whether that's directly as in they make a fee for the trading, or they take the data and they sell that to somebody else, like Robinhood, right? Or like, I don't know if Coinbase does this, but Coinbase or some places will give you a worse rate, right? So if it's 2 for 1, maybe they'll give you 2.195 or something. So the rate is worse. But in one way, one form or another, people are making money when you trade. So with DeFi, with Uniswap, you can make money when other people trade, right? You provide liquidity. And if you're not sure how all this works, on the screen here, you can click on my channel down over there and search, once you're on my channel page, search for understanding liquidity or liquidity providing. And I've done a boatload of videos, so start watching some of those videos if you're curious. Now, let's get into what Ocean Breeze has to say for the comment. That was the video they were commenting on. Providing liquidity is tricky. People get distracted because they can make good fees. However, the price of your coins can fluctuate very quickly to the downside. And then not only are you out your LP limit you set, you also lost way more in value than the fees you earned. It can also go up, but there is very real risk when providing liquidity. So let's talk about this, right? And then we'll get into the second half of the question here. If you're not sure how liquidity providing works with V3, V3 is just like 100x better than V2. You set a range, and the price is between this range, you earn fees. If the price goes outside of this range, you don't earn fees. You got to pull your money and then reset the range, right? Okay. So that's what he's referencing there for people who don't understand what he's saying. Now, he thinks that there's a risk, right? So if in that example, you have a range and this coin goes up in value relative to that coin, then what happens? Well, you're left with the underperforming token, right? So say A and B, say Ethereum and USDC. If USDC, well, maybe that's a bad example. Say Ethereum and wrapped Bitcoin, right? So say Ethereum goes up in value relative to wrapped Bitcoin, then you're left with all the wrapped Bitcoin, right? Because Ethereum performed better. So then you're left with the shitty holding, the shittier performing asset, right? So that works when it goes up, and the same thing works when it goes down. So if Ethereum were to perform more poorly relative to BTC, then you're left with all Ethereum, right? And no BTC. And what I have to say about this is, if you hold a one asset portfolio, meaning you are not diversified even in the slightest amount, then yes, this is risky. You should probably educate yourself or expand your portfolio, right? Or just not do it at all. But if, like the vast majority of the entire population in crypto, you hold more than one asset, right? You have, let's just say, a two portfolio asset, meaning a two asset portfolio, meaning you have at least asset A and asset B. Whatever those asset A is and asset B is to you, right? You like them enough to hold them in your portfolio, right? So you can go through and provide liquidity on assets you like, meaning you have asset A in your portfolio already. You have asset B in your portfolio already, right? These are things that you are buying and you're accumulating more of them and more of them. Wouldn't it make sense if you have them just sitting around doing diddly squat for you to earn fees on your positions? If you were going to only hold one asset and you don't like any other crypto, cool. Maybe providing liquidity is risky to you. But if you hold more than one asset, if there's two or more than that you like to purchase, that you believe in, that you think is an intelligent long-term investment, why wouldn't you just earn money on those? So I'm going to close the chat real quick. Otherwise I get distracted. T-Bush up. I'll get to these towards the end. If you guys have questions, leave them in the chat now, and we'll get to those towards the end of this. So that's what I have to say on this, right? 2 coins. I took some notes down here now because you can just have those same two assets and just earn fees. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Maybe you don't want to do 100% of your portfolio, right? Cool, I agree with that. But maybe you do 20%, and on that 20% of your portfolio, you earn 5% a month, right? So like this argument, the first half of this argument to me doesn't make sense unless you're under the assumption that somebody holds one asset in a portfolio, right? If you're going to hold one asset in a portfolio, then the first half of this makes sense. If you hold more than one, it doesn't make any sense. So let's get back into this. So then right here in the middle, he says, cheers. Also, trying to figure out the taxes is a nightmare unless you know a way of doing it. I have looked and even tried crypto tax software programs, and they make you do all the work to figure out how to classify the transactions, and so far still search out a qualified crypto tax CPA that understands how to classify LP transactions. Okay, so let's talk about this. So I agree with the second half of this in the sense that it's complex, right? But when you think about anything in life, right? You being the man you need to be in your life. There's 69 fucking thousand things that you need to step up in your life. So start doing it, right? And that's where you get the value. Just because something is complex or challenging or hard, the idea that somebody shouldn't do it is laughable to me. It is like there's a reason you're sitting there the way you are sitting there in your life and not achieving what you want to achieve with your life. Whether that's financially speaking, making enough money, right? Well, if you're making 100 grand, why aren't you making $1 million? Because you're not stepping up in those areas. And you're like, oh, it's not important to me. Okay, great. Well, then maybe creating the freedom in your life to help all the people that you love is not valuable to you, right? I want to help the people that I love and care about in my life. And I know with money, it makes it a lot easier. Maybe you don't care about freedom. Maybe you don't care about deepening all the relationships with the people you love and care about in your life, or getting to a better state from your health standpoint, whether that's physical health or mental health. You got to step up in all those areas. So the first part of this, just because something's complicated doesn't mean you shouldn't tackle it. You should tackle the things in your life that are challenging. That's how you win. That's how you create fulfillment. That's how you get success, however you define success. So I don't Yes, it is complex. That's an opportunity in how I see the world. Now, in terms of the tax portion of things, so I wanted to talk about this, right? So I took some notes down in here. Let's talk about a LP position where we have asset A and asset B here. Actually, I can probably take this down now. Asset A and asset B. We have 1,000 USD in each position and 10 coins in A and 100 coins in B, right? So it's 10 to 1, the ratio there. We're going to look at scenarios here. So think about this relative to this question here. Scenario 1, you have all your coins in B, right? And the reason you're going to have all your coins in B, because you had an LP position that was set up, right? As we discussed at the beginning, A and B assets in the LP position. A has overperformed relative to asset B, right? Ethereum has overperformed relative to wrapped Bitcoin. So now you're left with all the Bitcoin, right? So in this example here, you're left with 1,000 tokens of B, right? Cool, because you don't have any A left. So you sold A as people came into the liquidity pool. So what does that mean? Say for example, there's a 20% price movement, right? That puts you out of your range because you had a narrower range, right? What does that mean? Well, there's 3 things to consider here. And I'm not tax professional, I'm not your tax professional. Like, these are just ways that I am thinking about this. I have a meeting with my accountant on Tuesday. So we got 3 things. So we have fees, your earning fees, right? So the idea that taxes are complicated and that you should not do something because you're gonna have to pay more in taxes is like, you should not drink more water in your life because you're gonna have to pee more. Like, doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you should try to achieve more, right? So that means you're gonna pay more in taxes, which you can create more impact, right? We'll start with that. But you have the fees earned, right? So that's what you're gonna have to pay your taxes on, right? But at the same time, you have $1,000 worth of asset A that is now 20% less that you have sold, right? So the semantics of how this plays out is going to be slightly different based upon the time frame and stuff like that. But effectively, you have $1,000 worth of assets that you sold for $800. What does that mean? There's a capital loss there of $200, right? And then you had to adjust your position, right? So you're all in wrapped Bitcoin, we'll say in this example. So now you got to pull your position, right? So there's a fee there. You have that you're paying in terms of a network fee on Ethereum. Then you have all your wrapped Bitcoin that you need to go to the swap 50% or whatever your prerogative is of your wrapped Bitcoin back into Ethereum, right? And when you do that, you're creating another, depending on what the price of Bitcoin is. If Bitcoin was the one that came down in value, right? So say in that scenario, you had Ethereum go up by 10% while Bitcoin came down by 10%, right? Causing a net effect of 20%, which moved you outside of your LP position in the range that you had set up. Then you're going to have a capital loss on both sides, right? So you're going to have a capital loss, meaning it's a tax deduction, right? On this position, right? On the Ethereum side, when you pull your position, and you're going to have a capital loss on the Bitcoin side when you sell that, right? Have you ever looked up tax loss harvesting and things like this? You can do this in a portfolio to try to optimize for taxes. Although you should never make decisions specifically based on taxes like this, right? You should do them from an economic standpoint or like, business or life standpoint, not based upon just for the tax purposes, because then people make foolish decisions. But you're going to have the gain from the fees that you earn from other people trading. You're going to have the fees that you have to pay, right? Where you have a fee to pull a position. You have a fee to swap from the 100% BTC to 50% in one asset and 50% in the other asset. Plus, you're going to have another fee to set the position up again, right? Because you had to pay 3 network fees, 3 Ethereum fees if you're providing liquidity on Ethereum. So those are going to be offset to the fees that you earn, right? And I think that covers all three. You have the gain from the fees you earn, you have the fees that you pay, and you have the tax loss from the position when you go outside of your range. So that's how you can think about this. Now remember, fucking not legal advice. You should think for yourself as the idea behind these videos. Let's check the chat real quick here. TB Bishop. Good morning, sir. Thank you. I'm using some of my liquidity tokens to earn now. Fuck yeah. Almighty Hexton. Good morning. Marty Warrior within however you say your last name here. Appreciate you. I appreciate you as well. Where is the best place to learn about taxes? So that's a good question, Martin. There's not a best place necessarily, other than you think about the best place as being where you're starting right now. Just start. That's going to be like the best place to start. And how do you do that, right? Well, whether it's you enjoy learning through YouTube videos, you enjoy learning through talking or podcasts or reading. I like the approach of all the above, right? So you can hit it from multiple different angles. I'm paying for a meeting with my accountant on Tuesday to talk and learn and ask questions, right? So you can do that. You can watch the YouTube videos, and you can go to the IRS website or look at different CPA websites to try to get a better understanding of the taxes. We're in this system, we'll call it, and you have a framework, right? Say if you're playing basketball, if you like sports, right? Basketball or football or hockey or whatever your thing is, right? There's a set of rules. You have to understand the rules, right? Or maybe it's chess or something else. There's a set of rules you need to follow, right? To win the game, right? It's pretty easy to understand with sports. Yet in life, especially when it comes to finances, there's also a set of rules. But 99.9% of people don't apply the same thinking for a fucking made up game like sports to their real life. And they don't take the time to learn this stuff. So just start anywhere. Whether it's podcasts, whether it's talking to other people, be around people who talk about this kind of stuff. Because you're going to synthesize from these individuals, right? This is one of the reasons I don't spend a lot of time with a lot of people. Because they're not talking about shit that's fucking important to me. I want to make money. I want to make massive amounts of money. I want to help a lot of people, right? And if that's not your prerogative, cool. I wish you the best of luck and happiness in your life and fulfillment. It's not shit that's important to me, right? If you just want to chill and watch sports, cool. You have fun with that shit. Not important to me, right? So I don't spend a lot of time with people, but I would start. Definitely start. You need to know the rules. Like if you want to play football, you need to understand the rules of football. If you want to play life, if you want to play finances, you should probably understand the rules. So start anywhere, right? You can take courses. Just start anywhere. Just wherever you are in your life, start today. Yeah, I'm just starting to learn how to fish and have a 7 and vision. People who quit when things are hard is laughable. I agree, 100%. TB Bishop, what constitutes a narrow range for a noob? Sam, is it 5% range with 2.4x at either side of current price, or would it be more narrow and broad? So I think of a narrow range, not necessarily on like 5% or as an X of the value. And I'm not saying this is right. This is how I do it. I think of a narrow range as more of on a time scale. So if you have a position that's set up, and I just remembered I have food on the stove. I'm gonna have to wrap this up before. If you have a LP position that is set up that only goes outside of your range, say once a month, right? To me, that is not a narrow range. If I have a position that's set up in an LP pool where I have to adjust the position on a daily or every other day, meaning it's really, really narrow. Say if the price was my nose, right? And the price goes outside of the range, like every day or every other day, to me, that's a narrow range. Now, the percentages and the X's around that is going to vary depending on the volatility in the market of those two assets, right? That ratio, how volatile is that ratio? What's happening, right? So I think about it more on a time scale than like a percentage or an X's. Hopefully that's helpful. Mr. Rocco Jockey, what's good? We love Jim Rat, but we get a lot more from you when he is not talking over you. Hey, I appreciate this. I'm working at doing more streams and coming online more because I enjoy thinking about this stuff and I enjoy talking about this stuff and I enjoy interacting and learning from you guys, right? Because you ask a question and then it makes me think about something from a different point of view. So if you guys have questions and you leave them down below, I think lately, at least how I've been thinking about this, is utilizing the comments, right? Good comments. They're something that makes me think, right? That's how I define a good comment, something that makes me think, right? So having a good comment and then utilizing that as a starting point to create a video here, because I think that a lot of people have insightful comments and they're not sure like where to turn. And I'm not saying that I'm the right fucking dude by any stretch of the imagination, but if there's nobody talking about these things, that's why there's a comment there. That's why there's a question, right? So somebody, I don't mind if I'm the dude, right? But that doesn't mean I have the right answers. It's just, hey, I'm willing to talk about it. You can watch the content and be like, this guy's a fucking moron. Or you can take it like, that was kind of interesting. Maybe I should do more research because part of that seemed correct, but like the points you were making around this seemed inaccurate, right? So highly recommend doing your own research on this stuff. PR, ETH, good morning. What did I miss? Hey, yeah, go back and watch. We're talking about LP. Are taking about LP today. I like LP. We're going to be going live with GRC in about 25 minutes. I just wanted to get on and talk about this first because I saw that comment and I was like, oh, I should talk about this. Because I see people talking about taxes and then they use the lack of understanding of how taxes work and that it is something new to them, which is perceived as a challenge, as a reason to not do something, right? Versus like the challenge, flip this in your mind, and it might take weeks and or months to flip this in your mind, but think of like a challenge as a reason to do something. If there's something in your mind about like calling that customer or doing this thing or taking care of that thing, that apprehension is a sign that you should do it because it's going to provide a high ROI. That's how I think about things. So figure out how to switch that shit. TB Bushup, thank you, sir. And I stubbed my crypto. Hey, I like your name. Sam, over time, I'm trying to. Last one here, and then I'll wrap things up. Grounded in Hex. You're a very thoughtful and mindful dude, Sam. Hey, I appreciate you, dude. I appreciate everybody who comes and supports or reads or listens to any of the shit that I'm willing to put out. I'm going to jump off here. We'll be back in about 20 minutes with GRC at 11 o'clock on this channel, but also on his channel. Hexter Coinly is a great tax app. Thank you for the recommendation. Appreciate you guys, and potentially be back tomorrow morning before 11 o'clock, just doing solo thing. Talk to you guys in a bit.